And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds, they're immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes. Don't tell us to grow up and over there.
Welcome to Rabcast. I'm Daniel Weiner. This week marked the sesquicentennial of the Emancipation Proclamation, a high water mark of Abraham Lincoln's presidency and a critical element of his legacy. Though it did not completely expunge the poisonous patrimony of human bondage, the original sin perpetuated at our nation's founding, it propelled the process leading to the passing of the 13th Amendment and inextricably tied the Civil War to this wicked franchise. Two critical insights emerged from the timeliness of this commemoration. First, this week also marks the beginning of the book of Exodus in our annual cycle of Torah reading, the quintessential challenge to the institution of slavery in Western civilization. In the theologized context of Scripture, the enslavement of human beings was more than an affront to human morality and natural rights. It was nothing less than the abrogation of divine will. The liberation of those shackled by human arrogance, power, and capriciousness became the ultimate fulfillment of God's original creative vision for a just and free world. The second insight reminds us of the necessary mutability of sacred texts, the need to update the worldview of previous generations as enshrined in foundational documents. The process of amendment to the Constitution confirms this critical need to refine principle through law to respond to the evolving demands of society. The dynamic tension between transcendent ideals and their relevant application to different eras defines the faith and practice of both modern religion and our civil religion. A recent piece by Georgetown law professor Louis Michael Seidman reminds us of both history's respect for the Constitution and the many times our leaders have governed beyond its bounds to meet the challenges of the moment. Similarly, modern progressive Jews apply Jewish law through the prism of contemporary sensibilities, reinterpreting ancient traditions for contexts never envisioned by our ancestors, and relegating archaic statutes to the requirements of the past. Like Torah, our Constitution contains both timeless values and anachronisms. As individuals and as a nation, we must reconcile the sins and ignorance of our fathers with the moral remediation of later generations. While our founders forged this text with an acceptance of slavery as an eternal institution, less than a century later, we waged war to reverse this ill-conceived condoning of evil. Lincoln's proclamation publicly affirmed the will of the nation to make this so. The same is also true for another critical constitutional issue, the Second Amendment, as the call for colonial militias armed with flintlocks clearly no longer applies in a world of NRAs and civilian access to weapons, whose only purpose is to mass murder quickly and efficiently. The brilliant black statesman and reformer Frederick Douglass observed, "To make a man a slave was to rob him of moral responsibility. Freedom of choice is the essence of all accountability." Whether bearing the physical shackles of classic servitude or the psychic and spiritual bonds of uncritical commitment to outmoded principle, may we all free ourselves from the constraints of the past and celebrate the liberty of a mind ever open to a changing world. Shabbat Shalom.